We are back in action, and I hope that many of you are tuned in. Let me just adjust my desk here. For those who haven't done Viz Review before or haven't joined this call before, I'm going to give feedback on as many Vizs as I can in the next 28 minutes. And if your Viz isn't one of those that I look at, don't be discouraged. Please take the feedback I give others and use that and apply that to the Viz you've built and anything that you will build in the future. So the comments are valid across the board, across visualizations and the work that people produce in this project, in this community. First up, I would love to know who's tuned in. So if you, I have the chat window open. So if you are tuned in, let me know, where you're dialing in from and anything else you want to share. Let's have a look at Maker Monday for this week. So one thing I realized is I don't even know what the topic is because I like to come at this with a very fresh perspective. So New York pizza slices, of course. Andy and I just talked about this actually. Let's have a quick look at the original. I think he found this on Data is Plural, the newsletter that shares really cool data sets, I believe, every week. So this person, Liam has logged every slice of pizza he ate in New York on the Instagram account New York Slice since 2014. So that is now almost 10 years, 9 years to be exact. The results shown 464 slices. Price, okay, nice. So there's a Carto map, which is very cool. There's the prices increasing, average pepperoni, average plain price. I wonder what a plain pizza is. I guess it's probably like a margarita or something. And then different types of slices. So this just for one slice, $6.53. It seems crazy expensive. But really cool data set, interesting topic. If you are new to this and maybe even new to Makeover Monday, the data for every week you will find on the Makeover Monday website, makeovermonday.co.uk/data. Andy posted on Twitter as well, but this is where you will always find all the links. So there's a link to the data set, a link to Watch Me Viz when Andy does his live makeovers, typically on a Monday, and a link to Viz Review, which is this session on Wednesdays typically, then a link to the original article where the data came from and the data source so that it makes it easy for you to reference the data source, but also to look up all the background information that you might want or need. And let's get straight into it. The first Viz that pops up in my feed here, so I'm looking to make a Monday hashtag on Twitter, is Varun Jain. And let's look at his interactive version on Tableau Public. And by the way, it doesn't really matter what tool you use. Many people use Tableau. That's where the project was born and where it grew big, but you are welcome to use any tool. And we've even had people draw their Viz in the sand while on holiday. So creativity is always encouraged as well. So Varun created this dark Viz with a dark background, red map, and some white dots on where the locations were. So the first thing I notice is that Liam, who collected this data, seems to have eaten less pizza over the years. Because if he says he's tracked every slice, there seems to be a lot of, these are the locations. So maybe he has refined where he's buying his pizza from. In 2014, he had 56 different locations. And I find it interesting that over time, he's just fewer and fewer locations. So maybe his pizza fix at his favorite restaurants now after testing all those different places at a time. Title here, affordable pizza slices are disappearing from New York City. So interesting take. But I think what the data currently shows doesn't actually support necessarily. So the visualization currently shows that Liam has gone to fewer and fewer locations. I don't think the median price that's currently displayed as $2.50, so that should only have 1 0 at the end, not 2. But I don't think that price is kind of like the limit for how many locations can you find where this price is the median. So if you understand what I'm talking about, I'm trying to tie the visualization back to the title, and I think if we're talking about disappearing from New York, I see the disappearance, but my interpretation is Liam has gone to fewer locations. How is this connected to price? I don't know, but I don't see that. So, oh no, actually, okay. So places selling pizza slice at the median price, slice price, median. Oh, this is very confusing. Places selling pizza slice at the median pizza slice price in 2014 across the years. That's very unfortunate wording because it's impossible to understand. So make it a full sentence or even 2 sentences, something like number of places selling pizza slices at $2.50, which was the median price in 2014. So now, yes, it does make sense. But the real explanation of everything is the subtitle, and I skipped that because I was going straight to the visualization. So maybe make that a bit more obvious that that this 250 is basically the criterion for being included in the viz. Okay, so okay, wow, $1 for a slice of pizza. It seems really cheap. Am I sure? Oh gosh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Oh, sorry guys. I've been talking and talking and talking. But actually, let me share that again because I think I must have shared a tab rather than I need to share a window. Sorry guys. My apologies. I mean, at least it was visible, but not the interaction I had. So here we go. Now it's a bit bigger. Okay, let's move on to the next one so that I don't spend like 5 minutes and on a single one and don't get. Okay, this is not related to Maker Monday. Ali, the data guy. And thank you, Jordan, for calling out my my mistake. And sorry for my not seeing it earlier. So Ali has this cheap pizza in New York. Exploring Liam's pizza directory. I really like that subtitle because it is a bit of an acknowledgement of the author or the creator of the original data set. So there's a lot of pizza places. Liam has been busy. I like seeing it. Well, the previous viz obviously had a different focus, but I really like seeing how many different places he's gone to. So average price by, it's not county, it's really a borough or sub. Andy, is it called a borough? Oh, he can't hear me. I think it's called a borough. So yeah, county. I don't think county is the correct word. Okay, it's called a borough. So change it to borough. Average price by style. Click a style to filter the dashboard.
Counties and boroughs are different.
Yeah.
Those are counties in the data set.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I saw Bronx and I saw Queens, and I assumed that was borough.
Counties, but they're also boroughs.
Oh, just to be confusing. Okay, sorry. So sorry, Ali, you are correct. It is county. I assumed, which is bad on my part, that everything in New York is divided up in boroughs in the Big Five. So anyway, so there's a style. Jumbo grandma. What's a grandma pizza? Margarita meatball. Okay, I guess these are the different ones he had. Average price per slice. So the prices really went up in 2018 Q1 in New York. Okay, so I don't fully understand the line chart because it seems that, and maybe this is just in that quarter he was just in a certain county rather than where you have the asterisk. It says, it mentions the different, sorry, it will include more than one. The one issue I have is we have this blur on the map, and I can't really, it's covering so much of the data. Like I see the white points, which I think are all the different pizza joints, but I can't see the map underneath. And I think I would really like to see that density of the different pizza places. So I don't know what the big circles show. I mean, they do show the density, but I think the little dots show them as well. And I think it would be interesting to look at this without the map being covered up by the big yellow circles on top of the small yellow circles. I like that there's a bit of context included about the story of, you know, where this data comes from. The stuff on the left could be, let me see. So this is 110%. So if I zoom into 100, the font on the left side is really small. I think it would be good to make that a bit larger. Yeah, otherwise I think this is a really nice viz. Oh, and he had two different types. So he had a red one and the yellow one. I think the red one looks a bit alarming. I think the yellow is probably okay. Happiness is a slice of pizza. In the past, I would have agreed. Now I'm somebody who doesn't eat, you know, meat or cheese. It's like it has become a very sad thing to consume because it's just not the same. Okay, so first suggestion would be to hide all the tabs and only really publish the tab that has your dashboard so that it's a bit neater at the top. Next thing I notice is it's really, well, it's really long, tall, which is nice. Do you have the permission to use these images? Another question. No, you might. There might be from some free license kind of website. So make sure to include that. And okay, so he's got a bit of context around the data set, which I like. It's really neat to see how many slices, like there's a bit of the quantity being tracked down across the years, but also what time of the day he would have consumed most of the slices. So he's definitely not a pizza for breakfast kind of person, but he has done that. And he's also been a very late night kind of late night pizza eater, very occasionally. So, okay, so the next chart, the map I think doesn't necessarily need a title because a map isn't, I mean, it's a map, right? Everyone can see that. The bar chart needs a title because I don't really want to, right now at least, not really want to read all that text. And I think when you include text, yes, people will read that, but most people won't. They will skip over it to the interesting bits, the visual bits, and then maybe jump back to the text to clarify, oh, what is this all about? So I would give people a title in this for this bar chart. Again, font is quite small and a bit faint. I think the white works better on the gray than the light gray on the dark gray. The basil leaf divide, I actually quite like you don't need it, but it's nice to divide things up because you've got these sections in the chart. So in the dashboard. So I don't mind it as such. It could be a bit less prominent because right now it actually gives more of my visual attention than the charts because there's a lot of those leaves and they're like a very recognizable thing. So I would try and find something, if you want to include like a border or a line made out of basil leaves, they're just fewer, a bit more subtle. I cannot read the writing on the, so in the stacked bar chart, I cannot read the writing on the red sections because it's blurry and I literally cannot read it. So on red, you probably want to use white as a font color. On the white, I would use black. Also, what is this telling me? So what are these colors actually relating to? Because in the title, happiness is green, slice is white, and red is pizza. Then in the bar chart, I don't really know what the colors mean. because there's 3 greens, 2 reds, and a white. And then the stacked bar chart seems to be that plain pizza is white, pepperoni is red, but what is green? Jumbo could also be white. Grandma, Sicilian, white. Why is white pizza green and plain pizza white? Yeah, there's basically no clarity on what the colors mean unless you read the text and you happen to notice that it's in bold. So this needs a color legend. And then at the bottom, we have red and green. And if you're colorblind or you have red green blindness or weakness, these might be quite confusing. I mean, you can see what's up and down, but do you really need that? And typically, so the price increase is a bad thing, which is why it's up. But we already know it's, well, you're triple encoding it. You are giving it color, you're giving it the direction, and you're telling us what the number is. So there's a minus for the negative. So that's maybe not really necessary. Plus, there's also in the line chart. So that might just be a bit overkill. And then we have this box and whisker. And I always, with a box and whisker, want to ask why include it. So explore the price range, find more info in the box and whisker plot. So why do I have to explore it? Could you instead tell me? And also think, where is it? So I had it here somewhere. Do you think people want to know what the upper hinge and the lower hinge is for a slice of pizza in 2021? I think that is probably best packaged into words. So description of how the price is developed, which could still be linked back to the bar chart just above. I know visually they're interesting, but I think most people don't understand them. This is the end. Okay. This is the end, like the end of Liam tracking pizza, or the end of the viz, because I think he might continue. I don't know. Yeah, but that's my feedback there. Also, make sure to include the data source. You've mentioned it, but include the source, sorry, like, but also whatever the URL or website is where it's from. Okay, moving on. Let's have a look. Tamabol, I don't know what the name is of this person, and it's not included. So that would be my first suggestion here is include your name, include the data source as well. And also give it a title. So I know it has Makeover Monday 2023 week 5, but that's not really a good title. If you want people to find your visualizations, they wouldn't search for that. They might search for pizza, they might search for New York, they might search for food visualizations, any of those kind of things. So you want that in your title and description for the visualization, not just in the viz itself. Where can you find a cheap slice of pepperoni or plain pizza in New York City? Why do I have to pick between pepperoni or plain? Could you just do it for one of them? Because right now, it makes the sentence a bit longer and a little bit more maybe complicated. I would probably just go with the pepperoni because that seems to be quite a popular type of pizza anyway. So I know that the original had pepperoni and plain, I think, as the call out, or the two types that he looked at. But yeah, I would just pick one of them. Makes it nice and simple. So if you say, where can you find a cheap slice of pizza? My expectation is that your visualization answers that question and that it gives me maybe anywhere between 1 and 10 places where I can find a cheap slice of pepperoni or plain pizza in New York. What I do get is the average price by borough. I get the prices over time, and I get the average price by shop, but I do not know where I can find a cheap slice. So if we look at the prices being on the right side in that really tall but also squished up bar chart, pick whatever you define as cheap price. So maybe it is anywhere the median below, or maybe it's all those $1 per slice prices, and just tell me those, because it's the answer to your question in the title. Or if you want to create this viz, create a different title. And if you say, where can you find this, cheap slice of pizza, I would expect it to be related to like right now. So let's say the last 3 months worth of prices, rather than going all the way back 9 years to, or about 8 years, to the end of 2014, because those prices definitely have increased. So do I care about those? No. I would love to know, if I went to New York today and I wanted a cheap pizza, where would I go? So yeah, my feedback there. Otherwise, like, there's nothing wrong with the analysis or the visualizations itself. It just doesn't really deliver on the question and the expectation I have as the reader. I'm trying to find another viz from this week. Yusuke have, let's check this out. New York pizza slices. Let me see if I make this. Oh no, sorry, forget I did that. Starting in 20, actually, I'm going to just make this a bit bigger. Starting, because again, the font is really small. I don't know if this isn't a trend. I know for a while when it came to graphic design, there was a trend of making font really small, everything lowercase. It's quite straining on the eyes, and there's a lot of space on this viz that's not being used. So make it easy to read. If you want to engage your audience, well, we all do, right? So if you're building something for an audience, I would always suggest make it as easy to consume the information as possible. So the obvious things should be there and not hidden. The font should be large enough. There shouldn't be things covered up or overlapping. Like, those kind of very basic things are really important to get right. And the first thing I notice here is just how small the font is. And I am wearing glasses. I'm very close to the screen. I should be able to read this comfortably. And it's not my eyesight. Starting in 2014, Liam logged every slice of pizza. It should be he ate, not I ate. So that looks like it might have just gotten copied across, maybe. So just make sure you update that in New York City. The results shown below are collected from 451 slices. You could maybe embellish that a bit by saying, 451 slices eaten across however many restaurants across 8 years, 8.5 years. Okay, so why is the next thing average price? Again, a bit of context will make the transition smoother from your title subtitle to then suddenly there's data about the average price. Because so when you say, Liam logged every slice he ate, you could then tell people he recorded the price, the type of pizza, and the location of the restaurant, so that they then understand, okay, why are we looking at average price? Well, it was something that he logged and he wanted to see how the prices changed over time. So giving people more context, I think visually this is fine, but the context, also the content, the data itself, is a little bit out of context, because you're just telling me somebody recorded what pizza he ate, and then you're telling me the average price over the years, and then you're telling me the prices by orders and giving me maps, and I'm lost to figure out by myself what to do with this information. And anytime somebody doesn't really know what to do with something and they've seen it for the first time and it's not really drawing them in, well, they're just going to navigate away. So to get people to engage with your visualization, have a look at, yep, okay, so we've got the average price. Why are we discussing this? Why are we looking at this average price? It's a bit squished together, so make a bit of space between the plain and the pepperoni pizza, and include, why are we looking at plain and pepperoni in particular? Maybe that's the ones he ate the most. Maybe that's the most popular types. So given that he is building this pizza directory, he wanted to probably include those two so that people would know, and so on and so on. So the one thing is, it's basically a table, right? It's a table of text and numbers, And without it being visual, it's quite hard to see any changes, because right now, if I just glance at it and I don't read every column, it's just letters and numbers. Why not make this a line chart, for example, to show the development of the price? Because right now, to understand how the prices have changed, I need to look at those in the first, I need to basically go across and visualize it in my head. But ideally, I mean, this is Tableau. It doesn't need to tell me the text. It could just show me the viz. And then it says prices by orders. But then the color isn't explained until I navigate all the way to the other side of my screen. $1 to $6.50. Okay. So what? So I think this isn't really tied together. There's data that's visualized, but there isn't really a story behind it. And given the original, I think it should be not too difficult to build that story, because Liam has given quite a bit of direction on, hey, and this is stuff I looked at, and this is what he found interesting, and the prices and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I would give that more context here and not just visualize the data, but tell us, what are we looking at and why should we care? Okay, let's do one more. If we can find another one. Okay, let's have a look at Karen. Looks like Karen goes to the data school. Oh, this is nice. Okay, I need to just zoom out. Okay, you should be able, yes, you should be able to see it all. Oh, interesting. So I opened the workbook, and in the background, it shows me the link to the spreadsheet, to the data. That's really strange. Maybe somebody can explain why that happened. Anyhow, so New York City pizza prices. We have the Bronx, we have Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. So she's actually done the boroughs, which is what I'm most familiar with when it comes to New York, and done an overview. And the one thing I would add is just a bit of a brief description under the title. I know it doesn't quite fit with the design, but a brief description that says what you're looking at. So you're basically profiling every borough. Oh, excuse me. You're profiling every borough when it comes to their pizza and what the price is like right now, what the price was like in the past, how much it's increased, and how the prices compare across different pizza styles, which I think, is all valuable. And people might say, oh, okay, I'm going to go for pepperoni pizza, and there are so many places in Queens versus Manhattan, da da da. So putting a bit of context in so that people understand, okay, this is what I can expect when I look at these profiles. I really like the design, those cards. I like, I like the colors as well. It is somewhat a gradient of color, but I think it works, and I think they're distinct enough that I can see them. And because they are contained with these little, column backgrounds of very light blue, I think that works visually. One thing I would also explain in the data, or for this data, is that Manhattan and Queens, well, Manhattan seems to be where he has data for every single quarter, roughly, looking at this. But there are so in the Bronx, he ate in November 2017. Okay, so some of the data is quarterly, some of it is, so it looks like in the Bronx it was done by month. And then there's these big jumps because he didn't eat in pizza or didn't record pizza in the Bronx between 2017 November and 2020 November. So 3 years in between. So to just, if there's no data, but to just explain that there might be no data recorded or not every month has data recorded, so there might be some jumps or something, just to explain the different shapes of these charts, not so much in terms of their height, but in terms of their the look with those large jumps. Otherwise, really good. I think your credentials, so who built this viz, is really small, and it looks like it's almost not there, make that bigger. Don't don't erase yourself from your own viz. And then you can also have the data source a bit larger, and maybe beyond New York City pizza slices, you could include Liam's name as well. Yeah, but I like it. I really like the design. And with that, I'm going to finish up here. We are on time, out of time. And I hope you found that useful. Should be back next week. Yeah, next week, just as normal. And then after that, we are actually in New York. So I won't be doing this review from New York because we're going to see, I think on Wednesday, we're going to see a show. But next week, back here at the same time. And yeah, have a good rest of your day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And take some of these suggestions and have a think about how you can either use them to update your existing viz or how you can work them into the next one that you're creating, whether for Maker One Day or at work or otherwise. And with that, I'm going to say bye. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and see you next time.